to the drama. I've got a couple in practice right now who are on their fifth, count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth marriage to each other. And it's working beautifully.
I mean, Elizabeth Taylor was pretty good at that, wasn't she? I see why it happens, but I'm not convinced that it's necessarily very healthy. So why have so many cycled back to old relationships, particularly now during the pandemic, Dr. Ish?
Well, you can't explore your options when you don't have any. Right? And so the pandemic has drastically decreased those. We can't go out to our favorite restaurant, our favorite watering hole, and just kind of naturally, organically meet folks. And so there's a level of anxiety when we're doing that now. There's a level of stress when we do it now. Even if you're on a casual hookup app, right? There's still important information you need to know. Are you vaccinated? Is there any history of STIs, right? Hookup ignorance is bliss, and that type of pertinent information, right, really is a buzzkill.
Rachel, what are your thoughts on relationship cycling?
It's an unfortunate component of today's age because we are so connected. I think one of the biggest problems and the reason why people recycle relationships is because you don't disconnect from them. You're still following each other on social, or if you're not following, you're going down the rabbit hole and all of a sudden you're on their sister's, cousin's, brother's, former roommate's page. And so you're constantly feeling like you're still in front of them. And psychologically, we can't distinguish the difference between seeing them online or seeing them in person. So we're keeping that door open. We're keeping that connection open. So oftentimes, because we haven't moved on, we're holding on to that last person. And so it's a very common thing. There's a University of Missouri study that found that 34% of those participants repeated these cycles and constantly went back. So if you are in that cycle, you are not alone. We just want to make sure that you're going back to the right people.
Good advice. So Dr. Ish, why do recycled relationships cause so much anxiety and or depression?
Well, this is a situation of which came first, the chicken or the egg, right? So we know that the people who are in these recycled relationships, we know that they have an anxious attachment style. We know that they have a very fearful attachment style. So, right, it's what they're bringing to the pattern. And so those folks with that attachment style also are predisposed to things like anxiety and depression, right? And so I think they're bringing that to the job, and then it's falling out, right? In that study that Rachel cited, there's also a higher level of stress and anxiety with these folks as well. And it's tough, Doc, because the recycling on the one hand, it could be the safer option. Like you said, I know this person, I know their quirks, I know their history, I know they're safe, right? Which is a big concern for all of us these days. But on the other hand, I also know the other stuff, right? And so it's a very fine, delicate line to walk.
I mean, Dr. Ish, look at Bennifer, J-Lo and Ben Affleck. They're giving a lot of people hope. So can cycling work?
Oh, listen, if I'm dating a J-Lo, I'm going to cycle back like Lance Armstrong. I'm going to go back as many times as he takes me, right? But that's a whole nother thing, right? Cycling can work if you're both maturing and changing in the meantime and being honest about your updated resume when you come back, right? Overall, it's not recommended. The reason you broke up was a very real reason. And so you've got to be mindful of that. You got to honor that. But if life brings you back into each other's orbit, I've done some work individually. I've tried to date some other people. Nothing teaches you about your ex than your next, right? And so I've seen that. I've seen that reflection. I've done the work. And oh, by the way, I've done some things. Let me update you on this new resume and let's see, let's see where we are. I don't think there's anything wrong with that if that's how it happens. But you've got to have a clean break in between.
So if you know somebody, you have a history with them, you know what's going on with them, and you're lonely, you're caught up like everybody else in the pandemic, hey, you can start go through those phone numbers. Hey, that's where I'm going to go. So Rachel, thank you so much for the great info.